Welcome to a deep dive, everybody. We're talking money and, like the whole history of it. You sent in some really cool stuff and it seems like you really want to get to the bottom of how we pay for things today, right?
Yeah, and it's more than just like dry facts and dates, right? When you look at the history of money, you're really looking at the history of civilizations, how they work, how they change. It's all connected.
It is. And the stuff you sent, one of the first things it talks about is bartering. Can you imagine going to the store and instead of swiping your card, you're stuck trying to trade like a chicken or something?
It'd be chaos, right? And that's what your source talks about with that double coincidence of wants problem. Like, even if you found someone who wanted your chicken, what if they didn't have anything you needed?
It's true. And imagine if you did find someone to trade with and they wanted a whole cow. You'd need a pickup truck just to go shopping. It's no wonder we moved on to something else.
It gets pretty wild. I mean, your source talks about societies using grain, shells, even cattle as currency.
Yeah.
Imagine getting paid in cows.
Cows. Seriously, I can get gold being valuable, but cows. What makes them suddenly something you could buy stuff with?
Well, think about it. In a world where, farming and livestock are everything, having a bunch of cattle, that's a sign of wealth, right?
Yeah.
They can give you food, milk.
Yeah.
You can even use them for work. They have value built in.
Okay, that makes sense, but it still seems kind of messy. I mean, paying for groceries with a cow, that checkout line would be interesting.
Right, so things had to change. And that's where we get to, the next big thing in money.
Yeah.
Coins. Your source mentions the Lydians. They were the first to really figure this out.
Coins, that's such a game changer. It's suddenly you've got this universal language for trade. But even with that, I bet there were still some hiccups along the way.
Oh, absolutely. Your source mentions using precious metals, right? That solves some problems, but creates new ones. What happens if your economy's booming, but you run out of gold to make more coins? Plus, can you imagine carrying around, a sack full of coins to buy something big? Talk about a workout.
Okay, yeah, I'm seeing the downsides there. So, coins are better than cows, but there's still room for improvement. Where do we go from here? What's the next big leap in, the money story? So we've gone from, bartering chickens to lugging around bags of coins. I'm ready for the next upgrade. What's next in the world of money?
Well, get this. Imagine a world where you don't have to carry heavy coins around at all. Your source talks about the rise of paper money in China, and it's actually way older than you might think.
Really? Paper money, it just seems so, I don't know, easy to fake. What's to stop people from just printing their own back then?
It all comes down to trust, right? That piece of paper, it's basically like an IOU. It's a promise backed up by something real, like gold or silver held by the government, or even powerful merchants.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's like those old-timey banks you see in movies, where people trade their gold for paper money. But how do we go from that to, the money we have now?
This is where things get really interesting. Your source talks about the gold standard, basically. Countries tied their money to a specific amount of gold. Every dollar you had, it represented a tiny bit of real gold.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. It's like knowing there's this big vault of gold somewhere keeping your money safe, right? Sounds pretty solid, actually. So why'd we stop doing it?
It seemed like a good idea, but like anything, it had problems. As economies grew, you'd need more and more gold to back everything up. And in a crisis, well, it made it tough for governments to respond quickly.
Yeah, I can see that. It's like trying to build a skyscraper on a foundation meant for a tiny house. So if gold wasn't the answer, what was? What did we switch to?
This is where things get a little mind-bending. See, in the 20th century, many countries switched to fiat currency. Your source mentions this. It means our money, it's not based on anything physical anymore. It's all about trust in the government and the system.
Whoa, hold on. So you're saying my money, it's just trust. That's a pretty big leap. I mean, what does that even mean for, the value of money if it's not tied to anything real?
It's a big question. On the one hand, it gives governments more flexibility. They can print more money if the economy needs a boost or adjust interest rates.
Yeah.
But it's also risky. Print too much, and you get inflation. Suddenly your money doesn't buy as much.
It's a balancing act then, huh? We've come a long way from those cows, that's for sure. But I have a feeling another big change is coming, right? Especially with all this talk about digital currency.
You're way ahead of me. The story of money isn't over yet. And yeah, digital currencies like those cryptocurrencies your source mentions, that's the next chapter. To really get it, we need to talk about how technology is changing, pretty much everything about how we think about money.
Okay, now this is getting really interesting. Hit me with what's the deal with digital money And what's it going to mean for us regular folks? All right, digital money it is. It's everywhere you look these days. I mean, online shopping, tapping my phone to pay for stuff, even sending money to friends. Feels like we've come a long way from trading livestock, right?
It's mind-blowing when you think about it. For most of history, money's been something you can hold,
Mm-hmm.
coins, paper, even those cows we were talking about. But like your source says, digital tech, it's changing everything about how we think about money.
Yeah, I mean, I barely use cash anymore. Makes you wonder if, like, dollar bills are going to go extinct or something.
It's a good question. I don't think cash is going away completely anytime soon, but it's definitely changing, right? The way we earn, spend, even just think about money. Digital is a big part of that. And crypto, well, that's like the leading edge.
Yeah, the source you sent mentioned cryptocurrency, Bitcoin specifically. But I gotta be honest, I'm still a little fuzzy on what it actually is.
It's a bit of a head scratcher at first. Basically, think of it as digital money, but instead of banks, it uses cryptography to keep things secure. And unlike regular money, which, the government controls, crypto runs on these things called decentralized networks. They use something called blockchain technology. It's pretty wild stuff.
Decentralized networks, blockchain, sounds complicated. So, what does it even mean for a currency to be decentralized? Like, who's in charge?
Good question. So, with regular money, like dollars, the banks and the government, they keep track of everything, right? But with cryptocurrency, all the transactions, they're recorded on this giant digital ledger, this blockchain thing. And it's not stored in one place. It's spread across a huge network of computers.
So instead of one big bank, it's like a whole bunch of computers making sure everything's legit.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so interesting to a lot of people. That decentralized thing means more transparency, maybe better security, and it cuts out those middlemen, like banks, entirely.
Wow, that is pretty revolutionary.
Right.
But I can also see how it might be a lot for people to get their heads around. It's like we went from trading goats to like complex computer code as money in just a few thousand years.
It's a lot to take in. But that's where we're doing this deep dive, right? Understanding money's wild ride through history, all the way from those early forms of exchange to this crazy world of digital currency. It helps us make sense of it all.
I'm with you on that. So as we wrap up our deep dive into, well, money, what's the one big thing you want our listeners to walk away with?
Money's a story about people, really. It's about how we adapt, how we invent. From bartering to coins, paper money to this new digital stuff, we've always found new ways to trade, to represent value, to build trust.
And who knows what's next, right? Maybe we'll all be using digital tokens to buy space snacks in the future.
Hey, anything's possible. What matters is that we keep an open mind, Be curious, ask questions, and learn as we go. The more we understand about money and where it came from, the better equipped we'll be for whatever the future holds.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks so much for joining us today and sharing your expertise. It's been an awesome journey through the world of money.
My pleasure. It's been fun.
And to our listener, thanks for taking this deep dive with us. We'll catch you on the next one.